NASCAR's in-season challenge is here, so let's go ahead and fill out my bracket. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you're all having a great day, and I hope that you're also going to be partaking in the in-season challenge, bracket challenge. There's a cash prize on the line if you register online. I'll have a link down in the description to the page where you can go find the bracket challenge. And for those of you who are not aware what the NASCAR in-season challenge is, it's kind of like the NBA's in-season tournament, the NBA Cup. If you're an NBA fan, you can think of it like that, where you're going to have 32 out of the 35 full-time drivers this season matched up in a tournament, and it will be over the course of 5 races, beginning in Sonoma, then to Chicagoland, to Atlanta, North Wilkesboro, and ending with the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis. These are single eliminations, so for example, Tyler Reddick, the 1 seed, will be going up against Alex Bowman in the 32 seed this weekend in Sonoma. Whoever finishes ahead of the other will move on to the second round in Chicagoland next week to take on the winner of the Austin Cindric versus Brad Keselowski battle, which is the 16 versus the 17 seed. And there's also another big cash prize for the winning driver at the end of the tournament. Last year, Ty Gibbs became the inaugural in-season challenge winner for NASCAR, beating Ty Dillon, who had a Cinderella story run into Indianapolis. He was somehow able to squeak into the next rounds here and there. So really cool moment for Ty Dillon last year and Ty Gibbs, the two ties going at it in Indianapolis. We'll see if we'll see any other Cinderella runs this year. It's going to be very interesting. So this is obviously like a TNT Turner Sports idea. They're the ones that came up with the NBA Cup, the NBA in-season tournament. That was their idea. They're bringing it over to NASCAR now that they're going to be broadcasting 5 races for the next couple of seasons. So I'm going to go through all the matchups and tell you who I think is going to win each one, and we'll just go up and down the order until we have a champion. So, first matchup, like I already said, is Alex Bowman, the 32 seed, versus the number 1 seed, Tyler Reddick for 2311 Racing. This first round, challenge round 1, will be in Sonoma, another road course. And this one was a pretty simple pick for me. I'm going with Tyler Reddick. Both are very solid road courses, Bowman and Reddick. But Tyler Reddick in this scenario is a much better road course racer than Alex Bowman. And with just how Alex Bowman's season has gone so far, I really can't rely on anything this 48 team does. So I can't, hope, honestly, for a really good finish from Alex Bowman. Maybe he'll look into a top 20 if he's lucky, but I think that Tyler Reddick is still going to be the one that walks out of here with the victory out of round 1. So I'm picking Tyler Reddick to move on from this matchup. Now, the second matchup will be between the 16 and 17 seed of Austin Cindric and Brad Keselowski. This is an interesting one because, in my opinion, both of these two are having very similar seasons. Brad Keselowski, though, is on a little bit of a cold stretch. He hasn't had very many good races. It's another road course. Brad Keselowski is not a very good road course racer. Austin Cindric has a history of being a better road course racer, but that hasn't necessarily translated into the Cup Series. He was great on the road courses in the O'Reilly Series when he drove for Penske in that series, but that necessarily hasn't translated to the Cup level. But still, I am going to give Austin Cindric the edge here. You can't trust Brad Keselowski that he will get a good road course finish. He just hasn't shown me enough in his career that he can do anything, but he's had a couple good runs on like Watkins Glen when he was fighting with Marcos Ambrose, but still, that's not enough for me to definitively give the edge to Keselowski, especially when in the next-gen car, it hasn't been very good for him. The next matchup is Daniel Suarez, the 8 seed versus 25 seed Todd Gilliland, and this one is another simple one for me. I'm going with Daniel Suarez. This is the site of his first career win back with Trackhouse Racing in 2022. Todd Gilliland's been okay on road courses this year and over the course of his career, but Suarez, in my opinion, is better on road courses, so this is another easy and simple pick for me. Now, this next matchup is a little bit interesting. We have the 9 seed Carson Hocevar and the 24 seed Zane Smith, Todd Gilliland's teammate. Now, in this scenario, I might go with Carson Hocevar because, Carson Hocevar, I think, flat out beat Zane Smith on pace. But this past weekend, Zane Smith looked really, really good at San Diego, and he has looked good at several other road courses this season. So I'm not quite sure who to pick at this current moment because Zane Smith did have a better finish than Hocevar last weekend in San Diego. And even though Hocevar showed good speed, I don't know if I can consistently rely on, Hocevar at this current moment. And I think this might be a scenario where I'm leading towards taking an upset here with Zane Smith. And I think that's what I might do. I'm willing to get a little bold here and go with the upset here of Zane Smith taking out Carson Hocevar in round one. A very big upset I'm predicting here. Ooh, this is another good matchup here. Chase Briscoe, the 12 seed, versus the 21 seed AJ Allmendinger. Okay, this is a very interesting one because AJ Allmendinger, obviously, he is a very good road course racer. He's gotten several of his wins coming on road courses, most recently the Charlotte Roval back in 2023. Chase Briscoe, very solid road course racer in his career. He drives for a much better team than AJ Allmendinger. But this is another interesting one because Chase Briscoe, hasn't had the best season overall, and he didn't have a great race going in San Diego. It was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. Meanwhile, Allmendinger showed pretty solid pace throughout the entire race and managed to get a top 10 finish. So I'm not sure what to go with here. I don't know if I can trust Allmendinger and Chase, or I can't trust Briscoe. And at the same time, I can't trust AJ Allmendinger to be a consistent threat on road courses anymore, especially when SVG exists. I do think, though, I am going to go with AJ Allmendinger. He's been a little bit more consistent on road courses, and with the season that Chase Briscoe is having, I can't trust it, and I'm not willing to take the risk on Briscoe. I'm willing to take a bit of a chance on the upset here with how inconsistent Briscoe has been this year. And then the next matchup is the number 5 seed of Ty Gibbs, last year's in-season challenge champion, taking on Austin Dillon for Richard Childress Racing. This is another pretty simple one. I'm going Ty Gibbs here. Austin Dillon, not the best road course racer, so it's a pretty simple pick to go with Gibbs, who has some road course success. Was in conversation for the win at Watkins Glen earlier this year. Next matchup is the 13 seed Bubba Wallace taking on the 20 seed Michael McDowell. This is another one where I'm going to go with the underdog here. Bubba ran a great race in San Diego. It's another road course, and he's shown improvement on road courses these last few years. However, I'm not entirely convinced that Bubba is going to be able to get it done in Sonoma. I do trust Michael McDowell's road course experience a little bit more here. So, once again, I'm going with the upset of Michael McDowell here. And the last matchup for the left side of the bracket here will be Chase Elliott, the 4 seed versus the 29 seed of Noah Gregson. And for this one, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. Very good road course racer is Chase Elliott. Noah Gregson's okay, but, he's not Chase Elliott level on the road courses. So Chase Elliott, I have him being the last driver to move on from the left side of my bracket. Next one, we have Denny Hamlin, the 2 seed, taking on the 31 seed of Ty Dillon, last year's Cinderella story in the last year's in-season challenge. And even though this is a interesting pick here, because Denny Hamlin is not the best on road courses, and Ty Dillon has shown that he can surprise us and step up when the lights are brightest, I'm still going to go with Denny Hamlin. He's the best driver in this scenario, so I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin here for the first matchup on the right side of the bracket. Ooh, this next one is interesting. Okay, so we got Eric Jones, the 15 seed, taking on Joey Logano in the 18 seed. Okay. This is another, little interesting one. This is a interesting one because Joey Logano has not had the greatest season this year. It's not been good for him. He didn't do very good in San Diego this past weekend. And Eric Jones, I don't think of as a road course racer usually. So this is a very tough one. I'm tempted to go Joey Logano here because I do think that he can step up here in this matchup and get past Eric Jones. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna go with Joey Logano here. Just I know he is able to step up when he needs to, and I think this is a scenario where he will. I have him getting past Eric Jones here in the first round. Next matchup is Chris Buescher versus John Hunter Nemechek, the 7 and 26 seed. I'm having Chris Buescher in this one. Chris Buescher, very consistent road course racer, much better than John Hunter Nemechek. Yeah, this is a pretty simple no-brainer pick for me here to go with Chris Buescher. Again, he had a phenomenal run in San Diego this past weekend. I'm expecting that's going to carry over in Sonoma. Ooh, and then next up, we have Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain. Now, normally I would be picking Christopher Bell here because I know he is a very good road course racer. He got a win at Coda last year, but I don't think I'm going to go with Christopher Bell this year. Ross Chastain, to his credit, is a good road course racer. He is in a very good position to learn from really good road course racers with Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen, and he's won on a road course before. He won at Coda back in 2022. And with Bell's broken wrist, I don't know how well he's going to be able to drive that car. He literally was not able to run San Diego this weekend because he could not use his left wrist to turn. So I'm going to go with Ross Chastain here to get over Christopher Bell. I know, with Bell stepping out of the car at San Diego this past weekend, he wanted to, save his wrist and try to get as healthy as he possibly could. But I've seen how long it can take for drivers to shake off some injuries. Like Eric Jones, after his crash at Talladega, it took him like a full year to get back to form. We've seen Alex Bowman and what his injuries and health problems have, caused his career to turn into. So I'm not gonna rely on a quick bounce back from Christopher Bell here. So I'm gonna go with Ross Chastain here to take the upset victory over Christopher Bell. Next up, we have William Byron, the 11th seed, going up the 22 seed of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And yeah, I think this is a pretty another easy one. No disrespect to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. by any means, but William Byron is just a better road course racer overall. I know he hasn't shown it necessarily this year. He had some good speed in San Diego last weekend, but yeah, it didn't work out for him. So I'm still gonna go with William Byron. I trust him in that Hendrick power a little bit more than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And his Hayek power and his Hayek team. Even though I think Hayek does still run Hendrick engines, but still, I'm trusting William Byron and Hendrick over Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Hayek Motorsports. And then kind of similarly with Kyle Larson and Riley Herbst, even though Riley Herbst did show some good speed last weekend in San Diego, was up inside the top 10 for a good majority of this race. I'm still going to go with Kyle Larson. He's a former winner here. This is another pretty easy pick, taking Hendrick over 2311 Racing and giving that it's the weakest of the three full-time 2311 cars. Yeah, Larson's another pretty easy pick here. And the penultimate matchup in round one is Shane Van Gisbergen versus Ryan Preece. Yeah, this kind of seems unfair for Ryan Preece. The easy pick here is Shane Van Gisbergen. Yeah, he is simply the best road course racer in NASCAR, possibly in NASCAR history. Yeah, I don't know how Ryan Preece is going to be able to get past Shane Van Gisbergen and how Shane Van Gisbergen's not going to be able to lose on a road course like Sonoma where he won last year. So, yeah, SVG is getting the win over Ryan Preece. I'm sorry, Ryan Preece, but yeah, it's just not happening. And for the final matchup in round one, we have Ryan Blaney versus Josh Berry, who is losing this ride after this season. The 3rd versus 30 seed. Pretty easy take here. Ryan Blaney going to be the winner of this matchup. Blaney, even though he's not the best road course racer, he's shown speed. He actually won a stage and was, looking pretty speedy at San Diego last weekend. And Josh Berry, yeah, the Wood brothers are not giving him anything. He is not amazing on road courses. So Blaney's the easy pick here to round out round one. All right, now moving on to round two of Chicagoland. All right, starting out here with Tyler Reddick versus Austin Cindric. I could see this honestly being a very interesting matchup, but I am going to pick Tyler Reddick here. He is the number one seed for obvious reasons, even though he's kind of slipped as of late in the point standings. He's still very, very good. He's so good on the mile and a half. That entire 2311 Racing team is Toyota overall as a manufacturer has been extremely strong on the mile and a half this year. So Tyler Reddick in the return to Chicagoland is going to be advancing past Austin Cindric. Next up, we have Daniel Suarez versus Zane Smith. This is another interesting one because Daniel Suarez and Spire Motorsports compared to Front Row Motorsports and Zane Smith. You should look at this and say, yeah, Daniel Suarez should be the guy that advances here. But I think I might take Zane Smith here. I know Suarez won the Coca-Cola 600, which is on a mile and a half at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Chicagoland, a very similar track style to that. But Zane Smith's showing a lot of good pace on mile and a half as well. And I'm thinking we're going to see two back-to-back strong weeks for Zane Smith, both at San Diego and Sonoma. So I think Zane Smith is going to continue to ride that wave of momentum and try to get back in a chase position. I think that's going to apply here into the in-season challenge. So I'm going to go with Zane Smith The 24 seed gained the upset over Daniel Suarez here in round 2. I don't know if you can tell, but I think Zane Smith might be my Cinderella story pick here for this matchup, at least so far. We could see another guy emerge here. Next up, we got AJ Allmendinger versus Ty Gibbs. This one's a pretty simple one. Again, it's calling racing that is not getting any support from Chevrolet versus a fully funded Toyota team of Joe Gibbs Racing. Yeah, this is an easy pick. We're going with Ty Gibbs here. AJ, you've had a good run here. Maybe he could show us something in Chicagoland because AJ has a weird knack for doing well on these random mile and a halves. Like he's good on Homestead, Miami. He's good at Dover. He's good on a lot of the concrete tracks mostly. I know, Homestead's not really a concrete track, but some of these mile and a halves Allmendinger does do really well at for some reason. I'm not super sure how Allmendinger's going to do at Chicagoland with calling racing equipment that, again, is not being funded by Chevrolet. They're basically ghost cars. But yeah, maybe he could surprise us. But yeah, Ty Gibbs going with JGR power here over calling. Yeah, it seems pretty simple. And to round out the left side of round 2, we got Chase Elliott versus Michael McDowell. This one is going to be Chase Elliott once again. Again, McDowell could surprise us here. Again, it's not to disrespect McDowell or Allmendinger, but these two can randomly show up at mile and a halves in the year and be very, very good and be contending for wins. But we just haven't seen that from Michael McDowell this year, at least compared to AJ. McDowell just hasn't had a lot of speed on mile and a halves. He's used a lot of pit strategy to get some track position and try to hold on to it, but even that hasn't really worked sometimes. So Chase Elliott, he's smooth, calm, and consistent. You could almost guarantee him like a 15th place run every single week or better. And as of late, it has been a little bit better. So I'm going to go with Chase Elliott over Michael McDowell here. Now we got Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano on the right side of the bracket. And this is another easy one. We're going to go with Denny Hamlin. He has been amazing on mile and a halves. And Joey Logano hasn't been that necessarily. He hasn't even, I would say, touched any sort of the realm that Denny Hamlin is in. Logano is not in a chase position right now. Which is something that you don't hear every day. You would think that Joey Logano driving for Team Penske would be a guy that's on the chase position. Like he already has a chase position, is very much safe, and almost has it locked up, and would have a win. Logano doesn't have that, and meanwhile, Denny Hamlin has 5 wins on the season. So yeah, Denny Hamlin's going to be my pick here for that matchup. Next up, we got Chris Buescher versus Ross Chastain. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Let's start with Chris Buescher. We know Chris Buescher, very smooth and consistent, kind of similar to Chase Elliott. You can guarantee a 15th place run or higher pretty much every single weekend. When he doesn't, kind of an anomaly for Chris Buescher, and that's kind of like, whoa, what happened to that 17 team today? And for Ross Chastain, we kind of used to expect that out of Chastain, but these last 2 years have been kind of rough for that one team. Justin Marks has said that the Trackhouse team is overall in a rebuilding and retooling phase as of a program right now, and it's the same thing for Ross Chastain. But to Ross Chastain's credit, he has been able to gut out some pretty solid finishes as of late. I look at Pocono as an example of that. I remember a couple years ago, Nashville, he, for the rest of the year, like, he wasn't very, very good, but he got a win at Nashville, and that's another mile and a half. So could I see that from Chastain in this one? Maybe, but I am going to go with a more safer pick here, and I'm going to go with Chris Buescher and Ford. Buescher's just been more consistent. Chastain, he can surprise us, but I don't know how much I can lean on surprises, and good luck, I guess, maybe. Next up, we have William Byron versus Kyle Larson. This is another interesting one. This is a Hendrick little teammate battle here. This is a little bit of a tough one. Like, even though it says William Byron is the 11th seed and Larson is the 6th seed, this is a closer matchup than a lot of people think. I'm gotta be honest. This is tough for me because Kyle Larson's been very, very good. He's been, top 5 in points pretty much the entire year. He's been hovering around that conversation. He just hasn't quite broken through to get that win yet, but he's been so good on so many of these tracks. And meanwhile, William Byron hasn't been nearly as consistent in that regard, but this 24 team has shown speed several weeks now, and they can easily just explode and put a complete race together and outrun that 5 team because I know they can. Ah, man, this is tough. Like, I don't know if I want to go with William Byron, if I want to take a chance here, if I want to go with Kyle Larson, because Larson's been so consistent. Ah, man. I think I am gonna go with Kyle Larson here. He's been consistent. We can say that, and that's the thing that Larson has had over Byron all year is consistency. So I think that is my pick here for Byron versus Larson. I'm gonna go with Larson consistency wise. That's what he's beating Byron in right now. And the final pick for round two is Shane Van Gisbergen versus Ryan Blaney. And I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney here on this one. SVG's improved on the ovals, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to match Ryan Blaney in the 12 team. Though I do think it will be close. I do think it will be close because SVG has improved on the mile and a half ovals, and Blaney and all of Team Penske for that matter haven't looked amazing on intermediate mile and a half tracks this season. And honestly, I call me crazy. I think that, SVG has a legitimate shot to make it out of this round with how, I guess, inconsistent and underwhelming Penske has been on mile and a halves. I would not entirely rule out SVG if he's going to go up against Ryan Blaney at Chicagoland. But now we move on to round three, starting out here with Tyler Reddick versus Zane Smith. And this round is going to be taking on at Echo Park Speedway. Ooh, okay. So this is the super speedway of the round. Echo Park Speedway, obviously, full throttle all around the track. It's very tight. Big crashes have emerged here last year. And last year, when the in-season challenge got its first look, the in-season challenge started out at Atlanta, and it busted so many people's brackets because so many of the big contenders were taking out in that first wreck. So, I don't know what to do with this matchup here because Reddick won this race in the spring, but Zane Smith is also driving for Ford, which has been arguably, in my opinion, the most consistent lap leader in the super speedway racing in the next gen era. I mean, at this point in my bracket, he's going to have a teammate in Todd Gilliland who is going to say, sure, I'll give you a push. I'll push you to the front. I will do anything to help you advance. So even though I was thinking about taking Tyler Reddick here, I think I do trust Zane Smith to avoid a wreck like that more than Tyler Reddick. Because Reddick got involved in a crash in the spring, but somehow was able to take that damaged car and win the race. I don't think that luck's going to come around again. So I think I am going to go with Zane Smith to move on to the fourth round. Wow, I didn't see this coming. I really didn't. I have Zane Smith moving on over Tyler Reddick in round three at Echo Park. That's just how much I don't know how much is going to happen at a super speedway. I really don't. So I'm going to trust Zane Smith, who has a little bit more of a background and has, I think, a lot more working with him at super speedways like this because he's got teammates like Todd Gilliland and Noah Gregson who are good super speedway racers. He's got good Ford teammates of Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney. And Zane Smith is no slouch to super speedway racing himself. So I'm going to go with Zane Smith over Tyler Reddick in round three. I think I found my Cinderella story winner, and that's Zane Smith. Next matchup, we got Ty Gibbs versus Chase Elliott. So this is another tough one because these are very two closely seated drivers. And I think on any other track besides Echo Park, I would give this to Ty Gibbs because I do think Ty Gibbs does have more overall pace than Chase Elliott does. But Chase Elliott is a little bit more consistent. That's what I think Chase Elliott does have instead of Ty Gibbs. But Gibbs does have him beat in the speed department. But with this race, we're going back to Chase Elliott's home in Atlanta, Georgia. He's from Dawsonville, Georgia, so it's going to be his home race. And he won this second Atlanta race last year to open up the tournament. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott to get the win over Ty Gibbs here. I'm not going to say Chase Elliott's going to win Atlanta, but I do think he's going to move on past Ty Gibbs because Ty Gibbs, for how good of a super speedway racer he can be with his Toyota teammates, I just quite frankly don't trust Toyota on super speedways very much anymore. Even though Reddick has won a couple super speedways this year, I'm still gonna give it to Chase Elliott over Ty Gibbs. And now we get to Denny Hamlin versus Chris Buescher, and I think this is gonna be another upset for me. Even though from week to week, Denny Hamlin would beat Chris Buescher on speed, like pure raw speed. Hamlin has not been good on super speedways as of late, and he's not been very good at Atlanta very recently. So with that in mind, with how much of Chris Buescher's teammates, both with his Ford teammates and teammates at RFK, I was just talking about this exact same thing with Zane Smith, I think that's going to give Chris Buescher the edge. He's been able to avoid the wrecks at super speedways, and he's been able to finish very, very well. He has a super speedway victory in the next gen car era at Daytona back in 2023. Meanwhile, Hamlin doesn't have one in the next gen era. It's been a while for Hamlin since he's won on a super speedway, which yeah, no div. It's very hard to win on a super speedway race. Anything can happen. So, with how poorly Hamlin has done these last few years at Atlanta and how well I think Chris Buescher can do on a super speedway, I'm going to take Chris Buescher over Denny Hamlin. In the last matchup in round 3, Larson versus Blaney. Yeah, this is another interesting one. And, well, actually, I don't think this is an interesting one. I think this is honestly a no-brainer when I see this pick when it's at Atlanta. I'm going with Ryan Blaney. Kyle Larson, even though for a time it looked like he might be turning around his luck on super speedways, yeah, he's not. Larson has no luck on super speedways. He hasn't been very good on them. Blaney, meanwhile, has won a super speedway race recently. He won last year's Daytona Fall race, last August. He won that Daytona race. It was a thrilling 4-wide finish. It was awesome. And Blaney's done very well on super speedways. Again, he has the Ford teammates, and both as a Penske driver and a Ford driver with the RFK cars in there as well, the front row cars. Blaney has every advantage on the super speedway package compared to Kyle Larson. So, with that in mind, Ryan Blaney is going to be moving on past Kyle Larson in round 3 to round 4. Now we are down to the final 4 in the in-season challenge. First matchup in North Wilkesboro, we're going to have Chase Elliott versus Zane Smith. I almost said Chandler Smith. Zane Smith against Chase Elliott, the 24 versus the 4 seed. And unfortunately, I do see the Cinderella story coming to an end for Zane Smith. Chase Elliott, just on pure pace, being in a Hendrick car compared to a front row car, I think that's all the advantage he needs. Elliott's a very good short track racer. Zane Smith, no slouch himself, but when it comes to that, just the Hendrick versus front row difference, I have to give it to Chase Elliott here. Maybe Zane Smith can pull off a miraculous comeback here, but the odds are stacked against Zane Smith, so I'm going to go ahead and take Chase Elliott here to move on to the final round in Indianapolis. And then next and finally in round 4, we have Chris Buescher versus Ryan Blaney in North Wilkesboro. And I think I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney here. Team Penske, if there's one thing they do excel at in the Cup Series, which is not very many things anymore, it is the short tracks and the short flat ovals. And that's what North Wilkesboro is. It is a short track. Logano's had great speed here in the past. Cindric has honestly looked somewhat decent here, which feels kind of unreal to say at this point in Cindric's career. And Blaney, while he hasn't necessarily had that same speed or same success, I am willing to bet on the Penske track record of being very good on short flat ovals more than Chris Buescher and RFK. And that ultimately sets us up for a final matchup between Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney in Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400. And this is an interesting matchup because I feel like this is the ultimate battle of consistency. Chase Elliott, like I've said many times throughout this entire year, can give you a consistent top 15 to top 5 run pretty much every single week. And when you don't see that from him, you're thinking, man, it's just a bad day. Like, what happened? And same thing with Ryan Blaney. Top 15 to top 5, maybe a win, contending for the win, I guess is a more accurate term for Ryan Blaney, especially when it comes to some of the short flat ovals, like I already said. Now, the one thing that works against Ryan Blaney in this scenario is that this is not a short flat oval. This is a big 2-mile, like D shape, not even D shaped. It's like a rectangle. I guess it's kind of like a rectangle. But I don't know if Chase Elliott is even that much better than Ryan Blaney on the bigger ovals at this point. Like, Chase Elliott was very good at Michigan. Like, that's the thing that's pointing out to me in my head. And he has been able to compete on super speedways, some of the bigger tracks. I don't know if I'm willing to give that to Chase Elliott, though. However, I do think an excellent storyline would be Ryan Blaney, a Team Penske driver, drives for Roger Penske, the captain. They go to Indianapolis, the track that Roger Penske has made famous in its entire history. He owns IndyCar. He is owning one of the best teams in the Cup Series and in IndyCar. He owns the Speedway. I think Ryan Blaney heading into the house that Roger Penske built, his team owner, I think that will give Ryan Blaney everything he needs to get the win over Chase Elliott and that number 9 team. So, with that all being said, my pick to win the in-season challenge is Ryan Blaney of Team Penske. And while I'm picking Ryan Blaney, I think Chase Elliott's going to give Ryan Blaney a run for his money, and it's not going to be an easy win for Ryan Blaney overall in Indianapolis. I think these two are right on par with each other, and they will have very similar days in Indianapolis if they get there in the final round. Speaking of which, I think I might have had Chase Elliott in my final round or final 4 at the bare minimum last year. I can't remember exactly if I did or not. Did I have Chase Elliott winning last year too? Huh. I might be starting to become a Chase Elliott fan, which I'm trying not to be because I'm trying to get away from the most popular driver standpoint, which it's not to say I hate Chase Elliott, but I don't want to be a part of the entire most popular driver like favorite conversation, which I have a favorite driver already, and that's Kevin Harvick, and I probably should be the opposite of that. I probably should be a Chase Elliott hater, but I can't help but like Chase Elliott in any way, shape, or form. Anyways, there's my bracket. I have Ryan Blaney picking up the in-season challenge bracket win for the second ever in-season challenge for NASCAR. You can find the link down in the description if you want to fill out a bracket of your own. The first race is going to be this weekend in Sonoma, so make sure you fill out your bracket beforehand. But that will do it for this episode of Talkin NASCAR. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure you also go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. I'll have a link to the YouTube channel and the Spotify page to that show down in the description below. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of Talkin NASCAR.